All right, we're live. Happy Tuesday this week, everyone. Hopefully, everyone had a great Halloween. We're doing a Halloween stream this week, and we're a little behind on Halloween, but both Russ and Eric have children that they wanted to bring up for Halloween, and have the whole experience. And so we decided to do this a day later. I was kind of hoping that we would have Meredith because she's been sick. I was sick last week. I'm sure some of you guys realize, we didn't have a stream last week. I couldn't do it. Now I've given it to Meredith and she's sick. So she's probably going to be sick tomorrow too. She was not in great shape today. So today I am joined by Eric, who's going to be my co-host. So thank you so much, Eric, for doing it.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So today we're drawing Werewolf by Night, which would be a lot of fun. And before I forget, I got let me go back to my comments here. It's a little ways up here. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I don't want to forget it, though. So we have a super chat from Otaku Samurai for $5. And thank you very much, Otaku. He's, I don't think, here right now. He couldn't do it. So he put that in there and then he took off. He says, thank you for your live streams. What are your top 3 stories that you've worked on? In your opinion, any suggestions to start drawing from zero? So my top 3 stories are the first Moon Knight story that I did, written by Charlie Houston, who I also fought with like crazy, probably more than any other writer. It's certainly not his fault. He was and he's one of my favorite writers. He's an incredible novelist. He's a really great guy. We have not talked since then. Maybe we will again at some point. I'd love to talk to him. Maybe he wouldn't talk to me by now. I don't know. But it was a great story, and I was glad to work on it. Avengers Disassembled and New Avengers by Brian Bendis. And I'm going to have to say it's a toss-up for me between Jeff Loeb on Ultimatum, which is a very divisive book. I understand. It was divisive for me, too. It was tough because we killed a lot of characters, but it was a gutsy book, and it was a lot of fun. And I loved working with Jeff Loeb. And the other one, I think, would be Jeff Johns on Forever Evil, which was just a great story and a lot of fun to work on. And starting from zero, I actually have a post on my website. So go to my website. It's written right on the screen here. And there is a blog post, the first of one. Unfortunately, I never put up another one, but it really gives you a breakdown of I think, the best steps that you can take to get to start developing your work. I do feel like there's way too much emphasis on breaking in versus improving, just in general. And I understand. I mean, I had all the same questions when I wanted to break in, but you really need to work on improving. And when you get to the point where you're good enough, they'll start chasing you. Ideally, you want to get your stuff out there, Instagram and in different places. But yeah, it really comes down to the work. All right, I'm going to start drawing.
All right, so we have a super chat from JDS CT. Now that we are getting the stream, but for the rest of the week, trying to remember what day it is. It's going to be a nightmare. He's in there. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. What was that, Eric?
Oh, I was just saying he just said it's going to be a struggle, remembering what day of the week it is.
I know. Yeah, it's throwing everything off. I meant to actually put something like Monday Night Draw on a Tuesday, and I forgot, and I didn't do it for the thumbnail. So it's still Monday Night Draw, even though it's Tuesday. But yeah, here we are. And I didn't want to miss this week, despite the fact that we couldn't do Monday. I missed last week. I think I might have just said, we'll skip the week. But since we didn't do last week, I thought, okay, I want to make sure to do it. So here we are.
And Fraser Oakley has a super chat. Hi, David. Just wondering if there's any new portfolio reviews planned soon. Got 4 Batman pages I'd love for you to take a look at. Cheers.
Eric, we need to get on planning that. I have been saying, actually, and it's been a few months. So, like, my apologies for saying, yes, I'll do that, and then not doing it. I will start this week the process of getting the next one set up. It shouldn't take long. So let me just say, within the next month, one way or another, we'll get to
that. Kevin's saying I'm taller than I would have guessed. Everyone I met there, who I've only spoken to, on live streams and everything else, was taller. Eric Gist is also really tall. It was pretty enlightening, meeting everyone that I just talked to online. So
I'm not short, for the record, I'm not short. But yeah, I'm definitely the shortest of all of us. We saw Eric Gist there. We hung out with him quite a bit and had dinner. We saw Dan Fraga there, and Tyler Kirkham, also very, very tall.
Yeah.
Matt Banning.
Yeah,
I don't know
also.
if Matt's taller than I am. He might not be.
Might be a little bit shorter.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm 6'11", so.
Yeah.
So this one should be a little bit of fun too, because he's going to be on a branch. I'm going to draw it in right now. And I don't think I've ever drawn like a tree or something like that on a stream. So hopefully this doesn't take forever too.
Yeah, I don't think so. Get to see some textures.
Yeah, it'll be a little different.
Dave Hall says, did anyone watch Werewolf by Night? It was one of my favorite comics as a kid.
Have you seen
it? Oh yeah, it was great.
Now, I haven't seen it yet, and I'll tell you why, because I have an excuse. Meredith will not watch that. There's no way. And I don't have Disney Plus on my computer. I don't know the password. She does. And whenever I type in passwords for anything, then it goes to your phone. Everything that I have goes to Meredith's phone. It's a nightmare. So, and I don't want to change the password because then it won't work on the TV. I just need to get the password for Meredith, and I haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I actually figured, okay, well, by now I would have watched the show. I still have not seen it, and I've heard so much good stuff about it.
Yeah,
so
it was great.
It's a little disappointing to be drawing this and not have seen the show yet. All right. Oh, and by the way, so you guys know, no birthday wishes. If it's your birthday, you probably want to wait till next week, because
someone already mentioned that I should be singing their birthday song. It's not going to happen.
Before we started, Eric said, "Yeah, there's no way." It's very nice of Eric to come on and help tonight. I think you guys know Eric and I do a lot of painting and different shows with different artists. Every once in a while, you help with Monday Night Draw too, which is very appreciated. But yeah, no birthdays. So, yeah, sorry.
Chris Burks is a super chat, $10. Hi Dave, glad you're feeling better. I was sick with COVID last Monday. Don't really have a question. Just absolutely happy to be here and to support.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's great to have you here, and really, it's great to have all you guys here. Thank you. It's not Monday. And I really thought, okay, well, this is going to be maybe a bit of a slow night. And just logging in, I could see that there were quite a few people waiting. When I first logged in, it was a half an hour before. There were 40 people waiting, and there were 41 likes already, which is awesome. So you guys are great. So thank you. And it's great to have you tonight. We will be back to regular schedule next week. I'm going to be actually in Rhode Island this weekend coming up. But I'll be back for Monday. So I'll be back for the stream. And by then, I think Meredith she'll be recovered by then. So we'll be back in the game. So I think I'm going to be all right being pretty loose. I'm always pretty loose, you guys know, with my pencils for these. But I got to say, Eric, lately, and I imagine some of you guys feel this way too. Sometimes you just sit down and you just don't feel it. And I've kind of been that way. I did a Batman on a book. Now, the one bad thing about having Eric Gist and Eric at the show is I didn't get a lot of my sketches done that needed to be done for the show. And so I'm actually finishing some of them now this week. And yeah, I did almost full pencils, which I never do. But yeah, I just kind of had to do it,
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Sometimes it just flows out of the pencil, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, is it a purely mental thing? Is it just a situational thing? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I do find that at times when I've been drawing a lot, it really starts just coming easily. And the biggest part of it is it's coming up with a pose that I like an initial picture, and that can be a little challenging at times. So,
all right, there's a super chat here. 3 eyebrows. I guess that's Polish currency. 25. Hey guys, quick question: is there an optimal number of panels per page in your opinion? Does every page necessarily need one focal point? Thanks.
it depends on the type of scene you're drawing. There's definitely an optimal number of panels. If you want to have a really nice big reveal or splash, or let's say you want to have a big introduction, so you see, all of like a research lab or whatever it is, then, fewer panels is better, maybe 3, maybe 4. If you want to have more tight storytelling, smaller panels with quick action, then 6, even 9 panels can work in a grid. I hate that personally, but it can really work, and I've done it and been really happy with how it turned out. But generally, just as an average, I'd say between 4, 5, and 6. 6 being kind of a lot, 5 being probably the like best number of panels, I would say. So yeah, you definitely want to be aware that it is possible to write to such an extent, especially if you have really complex things happening in each panel, that you can overwrite with too many panels. As far as a focal point goes, I think that, yeah, by and large, you want to have a focal point, but it's not always ideal. Like if you have storytelling beats, so and by beats I mean they're like moments. Trying to think of a good example. They're like quick cuts in a movie, so it's just a quick cut. Then having a focal point isn't really ideal, because you're looking at individual beats of time, and you want those to be, kind of even, like metronomic, if that's a word, hopefully. But if you want to, hit somebody with something, and this is the great thing about comics that you can't do with any other medium, is, you can hit them with that big panel, and obviously then you want an anchor point, whatever that happens to be. So yes and no. That's a problem. There are no hard and fast rules. I do think that there are, you can almost think of, in my opinion, some things as hard and fast rules, just in the sense that they're so useful universally that while they can be broken effectively, it's good to think of them as a rule you're breaking than to not understand it in the first place. And so much of, I think, what makes a good skill is just having a really good understanding of what the rules are. So you know what you're doing when you're breaking them. So it's for effect. There you go.
All right. Andy Skeleton has a super chat for 25 Mexican pesos. Hey, hi. Can I get some advice on a daily drawing routine?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. So the number one advice I would give you is either have a wife that is merciless and will wake you up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning every morning, no matter how late you went to bed. So I've got that covered. If you don't have that, you really want to have an alarm clock and treat it like a real job. It's as much as it's really tempting to just say, you know what, I'm working at home. I don't have somebody, especially if you're not working on something with a schedule, you can get very, very little done very easily. So yeah, I think the best thing to do is have an alarm clock and really treat it like a schedule. So, let's say you wake up at 8 o'clock, have your coffee. You want to be started by about 8:30 or so. And if you're working on pages, that's when you want to get your page kind of laid out, decide what you're going to do, read the script, and go through that. And if you are studying, my best advice would be to do gesture drawing for a good half an hour to an hour, and then get into your study, whatever it happens to be, arms, legs, or full figures, or clothes, or whatever, backgrounds, and try and structure it. And yeah, that would be what I would do. That is what I did, really, except for the alarm clock part, I have to admit.
Eric Gist is here.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
Good to have Eric here.
Then another Eric, super chat, Eric Killius, so $5. What did he want to know? Scrolling down. And I was wondering, when Dave does page thumbnails for approval on interior pages, how big and detailed are the thumbnails?
Let me show you something. Okay, so you can't show this to anybody because I haven't actually even turned this in yet. But this is for a Walking Dead cover. I haven't actually turned this in, so but this is a layout for an upcoming cover. And so it's about that big. I just wanted to make sure that I've got everything in there. I've got a hand there. I don't even know if you can really tell. I'm going to get rid of that. It didn't really work. So it's not really what the final art will be exactly, but it's pretty close. And then, with lighting and so on, hopefully it'll come together. Yeah, that's basically what I do. And I can't actually see here. Hold on. I've got my reference in the way. So here's another one. There's stuff going on in the background. I had to go to a convention on the weekend, so I didn't quite finish this one. But these are two figures. They're in the trees. You can see some people, and there's like a vehicle back there. I still have to finish that. I can't turn it in like that. It's way too loose. This is another option that I decided not to go with after doing a little bit of sketching on it. I just wasn't really feeling it. This is me actually just working through an idea, which I decided not to go with. So it's really small, and it doesn't even have a frame. I just thought, I'll just try it out. So yeah, that's about what I do. And that tends to be enough. Basically, you want to be able to give your editor enough of a sense so they can actually see where you're going with it. And depending on who you're working with, they want to see, something much tighter, or, they can be a little more permissive. That generally happens when they've worked with you for a while and they trust you.
Do you take pictures of those and save them, David?
Yeah, I scan them. And actually what I do, I take that and I blow it up on my screen. I've got a huge monitor, which is great because I can put a whole page on there, and I trace it out onto my page so I don't have to redraw it, which is, basically the same as printing it, which is what most people do. Yeah, printing it and then lightboxing.
I think those can go into another book at some point. I think they're...
Oh, I've got mountains of them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I haven't even turned those in. I probably should have shown. Meredith's not here to stop me, so.
Okay, so Sean Jensen for $50 US.
Well,
hey, Dave, hope you're doing well. I was curious if there are any plans to upload any tutorial videos on doing bio-organic stuff like you did in Aphrodite, or Turner did on Witchblade or Silvestri for the Darkness. And if you have any quick tips. Yeah, that's actually a good suggestion.
You know what? Okay, I'm going to try. But hopefully you guys will be a little patient with me because I haven't done anything bio-organic like Top Cow style in years. It's been so long, 20 years. I used to have a real technique for it. So let me just work with this just for a second.
I know the one live stream you did, like Cyborg's arm or whatever, with blasters coming out of an arm. That was great.
Well, this is a different thing, and I'm doing this just like kind of from memory. It's been so long. And I'll tell you what I find with this stuff. When you do this a little while, even just a little bit, and start working through it. So basically, I'm treating it like an assembly line, like I do windows. I won't just draw one window. I'll draw, here's some lines. You guys have seen me do this so many times, and then I'll go this way, and then the center of my window, and I do them all at once. Well, I do this kind of the same way, like one little bit at a time. And yeah, this is kind of how I would approach that stuff, but much better. And you know what? I didn't come up with this look. This is an H.R. Geiger kind of a technique, which I'm butchering right now. I'm just going to cover that. It's been so long. You know what? I am going to do that as a tutorial. I want to do another textures video. I've got a couple of ideas. I think I'll probably spend 90% of it on that, though. That is a great idea to put in there. So I will do that. I forgot what I was going to say. Shoot. Anyway, yeah, there you go. I'll put it into a tutorial. And sorry that I couldn't do it now, but yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. It's a H.R. Geiger. And then Nick Manabat, who is a phenomenal, incredible artist. He was a genius at Wildstorm. He unfortunately passed away very, very young from cancer. I think he was 22, like very young. Really kind of brought that into Wildstorm. And he was best friends with Joe Benitez at the time, and Joe started picking up on that too. And then, so it really went from Joe, who did it on Weapon Zero quite a bit. Mike Turner picked up on that, and then Mark picked up on it, and really we all really started doing our own variations on it. And again, it's been so long, I just have forgotten how to do it. Shows you, you learn all these things and you forget just as much as you learn if you're not careful.
And then Adam Meyer, $5. Hey, Dave and Eric, happy second Monday. Yeah.
There you go. That's what it is. Second Monday.
And then Lee Tasby, $5. Hey, Dave, do you still make courses on your website? Also, are there any, I think that's conventions that you're going to in Georgia?
Not currently. I don't have anything planned for Georgia. Georgia is, Atlanta is Georgia, right? Eric?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, and they're starting to have more comic people out now. I heard that actually from Eric Gist, who is here. So I could definitely see that happening, and I'd love to go. And I have never been to Dragon Con. That's what Dragon Con, right?
I'm sure that sounds right.
It sounds right. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. Anyway, yeah. So no plans right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Minair Plus. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name, for $10. Hey, Dave, loved your neck and torso videos, but do you think you'll ever do a tutorial on mouths, open and closed? Also, can you make a deep dive into an inking tutorial? Dave's got a really good course on his website. Maybe Russ can link to that on expressions. I think did you put some? I think you put some of that on YouTube.
Yeah, I put caricatures basically on YouTube.
Yeah.
And expressions is on my website, which reminds me, actually, there's the second part of that question, which I've missed. And sorry, I will not be doing more tutorial content for my site. I made that decision a little while ago. I love doing this stuff. What I don't like doing is running a business, and I have no interest in trying to monetize all this stuff and turn it into a big, I just like doing it. I know, honestly, I certainly had no money when I was trying to learn how to draw. I know that a lot of you guys are older and, you have the means, but so many of you don't. And so, yeah, this is not so much how I make my money. I'm a comic artist. So this is, and really, this is for me too. It's not just for you guys. I get so much out of this. I really enjoy it. So no, I don't plan on putting anything else on the website. I plan on putting everything out here on YouTube just for free.
And then the second part of his question was, can you make a deep dive video or deep dive into an inking tutorial? I know Dave has one out, which is actually very, very helpful.
I'm going to do more. Definitely. I've got some plans to. So my next video, and this is actually a suggestion from Eric, is clothing on established figures. What I mean is, you draw a figure, it's in a pose, you've got the whole thing, but now you need to drape clothes on that. And I thought that was a really great idea. So I want to do that. That's going to be next. And mouths, open and closed, I would like to do. I know I did that for my website, it's so you can buy it on there, but I want to do something for YouTube just for free. And it will be as good as I can possibly make it. So there won't be anything on there that you could buy that you won't get here. And what was the other one? I forgot. Oh yeah, inking.
Yeah.
There are so many new tools. Like, for instance, I've got this. This is a Staedtler pigment liner. This is an 01. I actually got this from Dan Fraga at the show, which was very, very cool. And this is more sensitive than, this is a micron. This is an 03. I generally use an 01. Actually, I pretty much only use an 01. I don't know why I've got an 03 sitting here, but I like these more. So I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know how much that's superstition. I got it. I thought, oh, it's good. And now it's better. Is it really better? I don't actually know. But I'd like to do a video. He actually gave me a few other pens, and I'd like to kind of do a review and comparison for some of them, because I definitely have some opinions. And, you'll just have to bear in mind that my opinions will vary from yours, because my natural hand, the way that I work, is everybody's going to be a little bit different that way. So something to bear in mind.
Let's see. Richard Buff for $5. I have issues rotating 3D shapes, like how rib cages look turned in different directions. Are you able to visualize shapes in your head from all angles? It's a good question. Really
Yes.
important.
And you know what? I'm going to show you something really quickly because yes, I can, but it's not a magical skill, not so much in the way that you might think, because if you can break things down into really simple shapes. So I'm going to imagine here is going to be my rib cage, and it's a really, really simple shape. Here's a hole for my arm. This is the bottom, so it's going to have a shape basically like this, and this is going to be, I'm not going to make it hollow. And I've got a center line here. So that, you have to admit, is a fairly simple shape. Now, what you can't see here is my neck hole, which is covered from above. So if I want to draw it from above, now I'm going to draw that same shape, and I'm going to see the top of it. Here's the arm on the side here, and here's my center line, and I've got just a little bit of that you can see there. And so there you go. And it does not get too much more simple than that. I would say that that's something that, from the side, it's like this. I do think that this is something that you should be able to master. And if you're having trouble with this, that's still totally okay, because it's something you really need to work on. What I would say is a really good solution for that is to just get like a little action figure. They're actually, what do you call those things? The little gray one?
The gray, that's the SH Figure Arts one. I think they might have other names, but
anyway, something like that, right? And so get one of those, turn it around, and you can see. So you got your chest, because it is really broken down into a chest, so you can move it. Turn it, and you'll see from different angles and copy that, and you'll start to get a sense of how things turn. Keep it as simple as you possibly can. Like for me, I don't have a chest on here. I don't have like my rib cage. I don't have anything there, but just a basic form. And so now for me to draw a chest, I've got the bottom of my chest here. That might be a little high, just about here. I'm going to draw it across like this, and I'm going to draw a bit of a wedge here for one side. And so there's my chest, just like this. And my rib cage, because we're doing comics here, this isn't real anatomy. This is like, all of my favorite artists do this like really pronounced chest with this big shape here. And you've got that form here. Now there are your muscles. What are they called, Eric? You remember?
Which ones? This is serratus.
Thank you, serratus. Yes, all these are in here. But what you really want to worry about right now is you're breaking down a really simple shape into something just a little bit more complex. So here my chest will be here. I'm going to draw it across. I've got my little wedge here, and here's going to be the top of my chest. And from the side, I'm going to see it come out just about like this. Here's my wedge. So you want to get to the point where you can start to just get more and more complex as you turn your shapes. And that really is the way to, if you're trying to imagine like this figure and then turn this figure, you'll never be able to do it. It's too much. I couldn't do it.
All right, Eric Kilius, $5. I actually met you on Sunday and showed you my portfolio. I forgot to ask about the thumbnails because I was trying to soak up the advice. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for asking. And thanks for coming by and showing me your work.
Let's see. Stephen Austin for £10. I'm a comic book artist in the UK, and you're my go-to when I'm stuck. Being a backup for the Monday night drawbook, I bid for a layout rough. I got one of the babies, I guess, just delivered. What is it from? He got one of the layouts. So, do you remember?
Right.
Do you remember what it was from? I guess without looking at it.
Oh me. Oh geez, I don't know. There were quite a few, so I wouldn't know. Are you asking him?
No, he's asking what the layout was from.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. You'd have to describe it.
If there's a way to describe it, Stephen, go for it. All right, let's see. Sean Jensen, again, $5. Just wanted to say thanks for answering my question. Have a great day, guys.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And have a great day yourself. Or night, or,
Brad Scott art for $20. Hola, David. Glad you're feeling better and hope Meredith recovers soon. Any tips for creating support characters? No problem with main or...
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Brad, for creating supporting characters.
Yeah, he says he has no problem with main hero villain type characters, but other recurring support characters that need to be unique. And Miss Meredith rocks.
That she does. And you know what? She's fine. I mean, I recovered, so I'm sure she'll be fine. So, okay, look at the X-Men just as a good example, not to be so cliche, but you know what? It's a good starting point, right? Like consider it like a simple shape. You can take cliches or things that other people have done and use it as a starting point. And anyway, so you've got Wolverine, who's like he's crouched over and he's got claws and he's like an aggressive kind of a attack forward kind of character. You have Nightcrawler, who's very creepy. So it's similar because he's kind of a little more crouched too, but he's creepy in a way that Wolverine isn't. And he's much thinner. And then you have Colossus, who's your big, huge, you always look up at him and he's an enormous character. You have your female characters. You've got Jubilee, who's, small and she's got her little, light power. You have, Rogue, who's kind of your classic kind of heroine. So, you think in terms of those sorts of tropes and then, find a way to make them your own. So you're not just doing, Colossus, you have your big guy, but look, I'm not a writer, but, you imagine what makes him special or likable, especially. And I think if you start with, the guy's going to be big, that gives you a lot. And then just, go from there and kind of decide the kind of character you want him to be. Do you want him to be, a brute that everybody hates because he's a total bully, or do you want him to be a gentle giant or whatever? And that starts to seriously inform your decisions in making the character. And I hope that's helpful, really.
Jamal Rashid. Hey, family, blessed to be here on a Tuesday. God bless you. Have a good stream. You too.
Thank you very much, Jamal. God bless. It's always great to have Jamal here.
And Tagama Model Works. Good to see you guys. I was jonesing for a video. Meredith is really good at sounding like Eric. Spot on. She's very good at impressions.
Yeah. Yeah. You would never know.
There's a question here, which Dave and I were actually talking about today. Hi there, I'm Daniel. I do struggle with drawing female bodies that look muscular every time I draw them. Any advice for me? It's a good question.
Yeah. So, first of all, okay, I don't think I need to draw something for this, but a male body, all of the muscles are going to be really defined, and you're going to see, like, for instance, on the forearm, and you can't see it on mine because I'm working on it. I'm working out, but I'm not there. But you've got muscles that you can see on a hero, and on a woman, you can see some of the real landmarks, but you really want to be careful to go beyond that unless you really want her to look muscular. And obviously that's, that's a totally, appropriate decision depending on the character. But if you don't want that, then you want to, I will draw something just to show you. So I've got my male arm. And, it's a little simple, but there you go. There's my male arm. And that could be a female arm also. I mean, some women get pretty muscular. But if you're looking to get away from that, what you want to do is, first of all, I'm just going to draw a tube, and I'm going to start much thinner. I've got my shoulder here. I'm going to go softer and keep it much smaller. A little bit of a bump out for my tricep. A little shape for my bicep. I'm going to draw actually this muscle here just a little bit because that's a pretty pronounced muscle. So you can see it and it doesn't look like too much. And then I'm going to draw my forearm, and I'm just going to keep it much, much more narrow. So the length is the same, but it's much more narrow and the muscles are less defined. Like I can really draw that shoulder in there and get some striations in there and, draw all this stuff in there. I don't want to do that on my female arm if I don't want it to look muscular. In terms of the chest, so I've got my chest shape here. A woman's chest is going to be the same. It's not longer, it's thinner, but I cannot help but think of it as longer. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain seems to work. But this would be more of a female shape, and so you can see the difference. This is just much broader, So you want to go much more narrow with all your forms, and that will help too. If you're going really wide with your upper body, you're instantly going to have a lot of trouble keeping something looking smaller and more feminine. One thing that is the same is if Meredith is doing this. When you go quiet, I'm like, what? What happened? Are we still live?
Yeah, just reading here. Some people wondering if I'm going to sing, and that's a no. No for me, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, believe me, I didn't even ask. I knew that was not going to happen. I know Eric well enough. No way.
Doom Signal. I guess that's Canadian dollars. CA, is that Canadian?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Okay. 14 Canadian. Dave, any updates on launching your own book? I recall you showing me some pages years back of a story starting off at some post-apocalyptic train station.
You know what? I won't be doing that story. I've got a creator own book that,
Oh, that's Steve Trista. You know Steve Trista?
Oh, Doom Signal is Steve Trista. Oh yeah. Hey, good to see you, Steve. Yeah, no, and I remember that story. Yeah. You know what? The problem is I'm not a writer. Maybe one day I'll hook up with a writer and my opinion, and for any of you that also write, apologies to go in, but I think that stories are a dime a dozen. It's really what you do with them, and that counts for the art and the writing. So I hope that doesn't seem like I'm dismissing writers. That's not what I mean, because you can have a bunch of magical kids learn at a magical school, and obviously that's Harry Potter, but it could be a ton of different things and a ton of different feelings, just depending on what you do with it. So
you're drawing post-apocalyptic Hogwarts train station.
That's not what it was, but I'm just making my point. It's kind of on my mind right now because Meredith's got me watching this show that is magical people at a magical school. That's what we're watching right now.
Random pet, $5. When drawing big establishing shots, how do you go about drawing tiny figures so they don't look like little stick figures and have more believability?
When I'm drawing establishing shots, how do I go about? Sorry, about what?
How do you draw your people? You got to draw them smaller, so without them looking like stick figures. How do you make them look more believable?
Okay, well, we had this question last week, similar enough anyway, and I did it with a head. I'm just going to say that the approach is exactly the same. So what you do is, so you guys don't have to go all the way back to last week. I took a face, and instead of drawing an eye with an eyebrow and an eyeball and the little detail that's there, you just create a dark shape just for that. So, an eye would just be reduced down to a shape, just, depending on the size. And here's my other eye. My nose is just going to be a triangle like this. My mouth is going to be like this. Now, for figures, I would do the same thing. And so, I've got a tiny little figure here. This is so small, but you know what? Look, this is the point, right? So anyway, what I'm going to do is, here's a head. In order to make this detailed, I have a couple of choices, but doing basically what I did here, I'm going to just, line weight on this side. I'll cast a little shadow from his head. Eye, they're just little dots. You can't really get much in there. Here's a line for his rib cage. stomach, I'm just going to go pretty dark here. And I just want to make this all as simple as I possibly can. So I don't want to get too carried away with any detail. I'm just going to make this light dark. Why not? It's tiny. I can get away with it. And here's his other arm. I'm just going to make that dark too. And you can see how this is like, there's almost nothing to this, but it reads because it's just using just really, really simple shapes like this instead of trying to draw detail. That's my favorite way of going about it. Where things get a little more difficult is if you're not using any shadow at all. So in that case, I'm going to draw my body.
So you'd say suggestion is better than detail at that size?
Yeah, well, suggestion is really all you have.
Yeah.
Detail will really give you a lot of trouble. Okay, so for this one, I don't want to put any shadow. I'm just going to draw a dot for the eye. Here's my chest. So now I'm just kind of reduced to line weight, and I can still use that. My proportions are not the best, I know. So just a little bit here, well here. He's got pants on. So I'm going to draw some, just what I'm doing is, so here's a fold, another fold, another fold, and I'm just kind of interconnecting these shapes. So, but at a tiny little size, I don't even really need to do much. Here's a pocket. So I can get a little detail in there, and you just want to be really, really careful. And yeah, there he is at a really small size. There's really not much to him at all. You just have to be very, very careful about that. My personal opinion, this is always a little more effective. The problem with using this is that a lot of times you really want to separate out your foreground. And so, like, for instance, with my layout here, I've got this really strongly dark. So I don't want to have too much dark back here because otherwise it'll flatten. So it makes it really difficult if I've got a lot of layers to use that. So I end up being reduced more to this. So there you go.
So that was a literal mini tutorial.
Yeah.
Get it? Dan Eubanks for $5. How do you keep consistent quality work on something you may not be as invested in as something else? Thanks for everything.
That's a really great question. And, the answer to it is you are always auditioning for your next job. So if you're not into it, just bear in mind that if it looks terrible, that next job that you might have been into and you might be looking forward to might never come. So, no matter how much it doesn't suit your style, no matter how much you're really not enjoying it, you still have to give it everything you can. And you have to think about it, as being like your portfolio, your ongoing, reputation really at stake with everything that you do. And that has to be a motivation. And there are times, like, believe me, I've had times when I haven't enjoyed things as much. And I've been, working through a job that just don't want to do. And I don't let myself hack it out because people remember that. So yeah, your career is at stake, truthfully. Okay.
Thank you. Adam Meyer, $5. Dave, have you seen Mark Silvestri's new Batman book?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah, it really does. I have not seen the whole book. It's not out yet, is it?
Man, this is embarrassing. I don't know. I really want to read it. I don't know. Let me just look.
Yeah, I think it's coming out like this week. So, I mean, I've seen a ton of it, but I haven't seen the actual whole book. And yeah, I cannot wait. I'm going to buy like 10 copies.
Yeah.
And that's not hyperbole. I'm going to buy 10 copies.
So it's a 7-issue Black Label series. I don't know when the first one's available. I'm sure someone can help us with that. But yeah, definitely be reading that. Doug Fluger for $50.
Whoa.
David, was great having you, Eric, and Eric in Nashville this weekend. You're all as cool in person as you are on the live stream. I appreciate the awesome Deathlock remark from you. And the Judge Dredd commission from Mr. Guest. Oh, it was his Judge Dredd. That's awesome.
Yeah, we were all looking at that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to see you on here.
Great stuff. Yeah.
It's really great to see people that, have said, hey, I watch you on Monday Night Draw, and to then see you come by and say hi. I really appreciate it, and thank you very much. It's very generous.
Eric also did a pretty sweet Death Star remark.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
that one I didn't see.
Yeah, I hope he posts that. It came out really well.
I don't know how you do that as a remark. That'd be tough.
Yeah, he had a tape, like a you pull tape from the little round thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he used that to to get a nice circle on the comic, and then he took a silver Sharpie and did a real great job.
Huh.
Yeah. It was also really cool seeing his paintings in person. It was just absolutely stunning.
It was. I got dibs on one.
Yeah, that one's great. Yeah. Scotch tape, yeah. But I don't know what the holder thing's called. Yeah, Scotch tape.
Oh no.
What?
Book of the week.
That's still in 15 minutes.
I know. I just remembered that I never even thought of what to do for a book of the week.
I'm not singing that song either. So I'm just
preemptively. I got music for it now.
Do what?
I got music. You're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And actually, I realized what I want to do for book of the week. So we're good. Hugh
Timms, any recommendations on women's hands versus men's? Thank you for that great answer to Dan Eubank's question. It's kind of the same thing. Just, I don't know. The hardest thing with drawing women too is just using less lines. I think the less lines you use just makes it harder because there's so much more you got to suggest. Now with men, you can go wild with rendering and everything. You just got to make it softer with less lines.
Yeah, and you really want to think of it in terms of like a man's finger. Now, this is comic book style, so take the for what it's worth. But I'm going to draw a man's finger, and so there you go. And here's my nail, and this is a simplified finger, but that'll give you basically the idea. And that's fine, but it really doesn't look like a woman's finger at all. And so for me to draw a woman's finger, I'm going to do it just about the same size. And I want the nail to be longer. Obviously, not all women have nails. You know what? Here's the thing. I feel like I'm always saying, like, obviously not everyone, but the fact is that I have no choice but to deal in some kind of generalities here, right? So I'm sure you guys understand. So I'm going to give her nails. And so she has and her knuckles are probably a little too pronounced there too. And so, yeah, that's a big difference right there. And you can see just proportionally the difference. The other thing that I would say is seriously, look at Alan Davis, the best women's hands, I think, out there. He's so good at everything, but yeah, his women's hands are great. And actually, I got a lot of criticism. This is a while ago now. For drawing man hands on my women. And it's easy to do that kind of thing, Eric, like you're not thinking and I'm just drawing hands.
Yeah.
Anyway, and my solution to it was actually really going through and studying some Alan Davis again and trying to shore that up. So that's kind of how I overcame it. So yeah, there you go. And look, I can't solve that problem for you with one finger. Obviously, I understand, but the approach is really the same to the rest of the body. You want more length rather than width, so you have something much more slender. And then my solution also is the same as it really always is, and that is to find someone that you think does it really well. For me, I love Alan Davis's hands and the way he approaches it. If there's someone else for you that you really like, but just study people that do it in a way that you think really works well for you.
Sheldon Martin says, people say I draw man ears on my woman.
Is that possible?
I think it's just Sheldon being Sheldon. So yeah, apparently Batman, Mark Silvestri's Batman is out tomorrow. So I'll definitely be going to the comic shop for that one.
It works out. So because Meredith has been sick, I've been driving our son to school morning and night, morning and afternoon. And so I think I'll just leave a little earlier and go pick it up.
Adam Meyer again, $5. Dave, still hoping you will do your studio tour vid. Cheers.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I keep forgetting. My studio, by the way, is a total mess right now. It's not presentable, and that's because Meredith is not here. She does not tolerate a messy office very well. I'm sure you've heard her complain that it's like, a mess. So yeah, it is a mess. You would hear all about it if she was down here. So yeah, I need to clean it up so it's a little presentable, and then just bring a camera around. The thing is, I'm not a some people have everything and it looks really great and it's all, no, mine's very utilitarian.
I was like neat for like 10 minutes, and then it's like another Cat 5 came through.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
Nobody's got time for that.
It's like a full-time job, keeping it tidy.
I envy people that are a little OCD. I guess, obviously being very OCD can be, a challenge, but a little OCD, at least you have a clean room.
Functional OCD.
Functional, yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
So I saw before we started, somebody was saying that they're curious to see how I do all that hair. And
your Gorilla Grodd was a good example.
Yeah. Well, my Gorilla Grodd, that was inked by Danny Miki. That was a good example of...
No, you did that recently. Well, not
I?
recently. You did it, am I making stuff up? Hold on.
No, you're not. I did a Killer Grodd, Gorilla Grodd versus Superman.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I forgot about it. Okay.
Yeah, that was great. That's definitely a good one to go back and look on for.
It's like 2 years ago now, eh? It's a while.
It is amazing how much time has passed. Yeah. Somebody, man, I finally caught your stream. Love your stuff. Definitely been a lot of help. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I don't know if that's because we're on a Tuesday. And actually somebody mentioned, they were glad we were on a Tuesday because they work on Monday and they wanted it to be on Tuesday. I wish I could, unfortunately. Monday is the day that really works. So every other day, Tuesday probably would be like the least hard, but
Tuesday night draw just doesn't sound good. Monday night draw's got a
we'd have to change. We'd have to change the name. It would have to be something awesome like line weights. Do you even lift, bro?
Sheldon Martin's going back in the Wayback Machine. Remember when it used to be Sunday? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it used to be Sunday, and then it would have still been, but I can't remember what caused that. But yeah, Meredith couldn't do it, so it ended up being Monday.
It's a great way to brighten Monday blues. That is true.
I look forward to Mondays.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday night draw. There we go.
Mondays are the day I can get back downstairs and just, you know what? I like the weekend. I do a lot of yard work and that kind of thing. But yeah, Mondays I have my coffee and I get back down to work. And I miss it when I'm not working. So I'm a big believer in Mondays.
So did you watch the Mexico Grand Prix?
I did.
I just watched the highlights. I didn't really have time to go over it.
I thought it was going to be Lewis Hamilton's time. I really thought. And then I saw George Russell, and he didn't T-bone Hamilton, which is great. So Verstappen won. And he's already won the championship. He's winning every single race. Ferrari, they weren't in it at all. And Mercedes looking pretty strong, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little too late.
It is, but you know what?
That must really be bugging them.
George Russell, that guy's got the strategy, He pressured them. So he came in and got the fastest lap. And so he put on new tires, and the fastest lap nobody cares about this. I'm sorry, guys. I'll make it fast. Fastest lap, you get easier because you don't have much gas in the car as you go around and around. So toward the end is when you can get the fastest lap. So he changed tires to do it. Mercedes fought him on that. He also wanted to change tires early on, a strategy that really worked out for Daniel Ricciardo. And I think he might have been able to challenge higher up in the grid, but he got nixed by Mercedes for that too. Like, I think he's a smart racer. They should trust him.
While it's too little too late for Mercedes, I'm pretty sure it helps investors.
Yeah. Okay. Now we'll stop. Sorry, everybody.
Now that everyone's fallen asleep. So talking about Dan Frege, he's in the chat. Hey, Dan.
Oh, great. Good to see you, Dan. Great to see you this weekend.
Yeah.
And by the way, thank you for the pen. I got it right here. This is my Stadler. I haven't brought out the other ones yet. I've got some other ones too. So yeah, thank you very much. I don't know what kind of effect having this tree branch underneath here is going to have, like in terms of time. We'll see. But you know what the good news is, Eric?
Yeah. Whatever.
We don't have Meredith that's going to fall asleep.
Yeah. Well,
you got nothing better to do till 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
No, I'm good. You can render it out. I'm here for the long haul.
All right. It won't take everybody. Don't worry. It's not going to take till 3 o'clock. This is going to be at most we'll be 10 minutes over. So we always do this for 2 hours, and yeah, we won't be much over that. And if it does end up going over, I'll make sure to finish enough of the tree so you really get an idea of like the whole process, in case you guys are curious.
You can probably shade a lot of it out. Oh.
Yeah. This is actually going pretty fast. Ultimately,
it's just going to be one big black tree trunk.
Yeah, that'll go pretty quick. That would do it. Just going to go dark with this foot here. It's all shattered underneath. And you know what that is? Because I don't want to draw a foot. I'm not going to lie. But it's also, I can't believe I'm saying I'm not going to lie, by the way. It's like my son says that. You pick it up. Anyway, it is underneath him, so it would be shadowed. So, my defense, it would actually be that way. But I also don't want to have to draw feet.
When in doubt, black it out.
Yeah, and you know what nobody cares about? Toes. Say what you want. Nobody cares.
No, there's some people who do care.
Okay, I don't care. Judge me if you want. I don't care about freaking toes. Oh, right. Got it. Stuff just goes over my head.
I was going to ask you to zoom in. You can take a picture. Random Pat, $5. Not sure if it would be possible to set it up, but if you could ever get Greg Capullo to come on and draw, that would be incredible. Yes, it would.
It would. I am just going to say I don't think that'll happen because I did a Toronto Comic-Con, what is it? Fan Expo Toronto. And some of the other Fan Expo shows, they have basically a draw-off where they'll have a couple artists on a panel and we'll draw a character and then we give away the results at the end. And they have a bit of an informal, clap for this one or clap for that one, kind of a vote of who won, which is, always a little stressful. But anyway, it was me, Greg Capullo, and Tony Daniel. And Greg essentially moderated and entertained the crowd. And he said he does not like drawing in front of people, which is crazy because he is such a natural artist. And you can see he can just do it. And there's no faking that, by the way. There's not something he's hiding by not drawing in front of people. He can just do it. But yeah, he doesn't like drawing with an audience. So I don't know that whatever. I'm going to say I think that would not happen. We
were talking about it this weekend. I mean, it's kind of tough. It's kind of nerve-wracking, drawing. drawing live in front of people, and if you've got to correct something or something's not working out quite right.
Yeah. And it's up to each artist whether they want to turn the act of drawing itself into like a performance, because I mean,
right.
it's not necessarily about that. And so yeah, I can certainly respect that. Anyway, I don't think you would do it. I'd be thoroughly shocked, and I hope I didn't just screw that up there. I think it's all right. I don't know. I kind of messed up my shadow shapes a little bit, and so I'm doing my when in doubt, black it out slowly, which I do this all the time. I don't like it, so I don't just black out the whole area, but I do go more shadowed with it than I was initially intending. And if I still don't like it, then it gets a little more shadowed, and it just keeps going until eventually I've painted myself into such a corner. And the problem is by then, I need so much whiteout to fix it. It's a nightmare. I do it all the time.
Hugh Timms, $5. Thanks for answering my last question. Could you describe your typical work day? Any tips on scheduling your time to warm up /draw/rest?
The number one tip I would say in terms of drawing, resting, and whatever is you really do have to look at how much work you have to accomplish or you want to accomplish in a day, and how much time you have in a day. And be realistic about the fact that you cannot draw all the time. I don't care how much you love it, you'll burn yourself out. And you don't want to do that. Like, you want to, this is a job for me, obviously, but I love it. And I can't do it all the time. I need to take a break. So anyway, ideally you want to work in the morning and be as productive as you can possibly be, because I'm a night person. I don't like working in the morning, but you are most productive then. So if that's truly the goal, you really want to use your mornings.
All right, Dave, it's that time.
Is okay. And yeah, you can't be scrolling through social media, like no posting on Twitter or whatever it is. You really have to just sit down and devote that time, and maybe put on some music or a podcast or something. And I got to get my book of the week because it's over there because I forgot, but I'll be right back. All right. Oh wait, music. Hold on.
No, that was laughing.
That's laugh. Shoot. Okay, wait.
There you go.
All right, moving on. There's our book of the week music. So this is comic composition storytelling by Eduardo Rizzo. You guys know this, right? He is one of my absolute all-time favorites. I am a huge fan of Eduardo Rizzo. I didn't even know this book existed, and I got this actually from Erick this weekend. I knew that it existed when Erick told me, but I did not have this book, so I just got it. I'm pretty excited about it. I've already read the whole book. It even has a place where if you can find Eduardo Rizzo, you can get a sketch. Look at that. So the whole thing is written in Spanish, I think. Truth is, I can't tell. I don't know. But
yeah, it's bilingual. It has
right. It's bilingual, but it has also English at the bottom. So yeah, and the English, I've read the whole thing, is very well translated and easy to understand. So he's talking about storytelling in the beginning, rhythm and narrative interest, action, emotion, film sequence, narrative timing, framing and angle of view, and shots. And then really the book is about those things. And so so for this page here, and I'm reading this because I want to remember exactly what he was talking about. In the script, it didn't have some of these panels that, some of these small inset panels where you see his reaction here and then his hand and then his head opening. He added some of those things. So you don't just see him opening the case and going, oh, wow, look at that. Like, you really want to play up that moment. And so that is, just in terms of storytelling, really using small frames, really quick shots. And when I was talking about like a metronomic timing, again, if that's a word, this is exactly what I mean, where you have panels that are the exact same size and it gives it the same timing in a story beat. So you don't feel like this feels like it takes up a little more time because it's wider. These feel like they're quicker shots. And so you don't feel like you're taking forever to open the box. It just builds suspense. And I don't want to go through this whole book and break down every concept that he's talking about, because we really would be here all night. But you can see how incredible all of his work is. He's got some stuff on Batman here. This I thought was a really, really interesting one. So in the script, and this is something I never do, and I really need to look at. In the script, it is 3 pages of Batman talking to a girl, and I could read it again to know, but it doesn't matter. He's talking to this woman. And Eduardo thought that it was fine, but it ended up being ultimately fairly boring. So you can see he's got them talking. And then this is a totally unrelated panel of 2 people approaching a bum. And you can see this is Batman and the girl talking way in the background. And now you can see these people approaching the bum in the background. Batman's kind of looking that way, and he's looking here. So they're still talking, but he's more focused on what's happening back there. This is all them just talking. And now the bum's being attacked. They've got a knife to his throat. You guys can see it's on the screen. Yeah. And so they're still talking here. While she's faced away from him, Batman reaches in, throws his batarang. Anyway, takes out the bums or the criminals. They run away, and now he's still talking. So it's this whole drama that happened on the page, aside from what was in the script. And this is the kind of storytelling that is not something that I ever do. And you don't value when you read a comic, you don't really value when an artist does this, but the difference it makes, and really part of the reason why I think I'm such a huge fan of his work, and I was not even aware of it, is those kinds of decisions. I thought that was really amazing. Now that takes some trust from the writer. Here he's talking about using repetition to really drive a narrative point home. And then moving on quickly, because I really want to get into some of the compositional stuff too. And some of this stuff is, by the way, a little disturbing too. So just bear that in mind. Here he's really talking about changing up all the camera angles and your range of focus, that kind of thing. So yeah, I can't go into this whole book, but and here he's talking about this page here uses essentially every type of shot there is, extreme close-ups to mid shots to establishing shots and a lot of different angles. Basically, it says camera zooms close. Well, the problem is he's actually describing every panel as it goes, so it's really difficult for me to read it as just like a quick summary. And this is talking about grouping. I'm going to stop here because there's so much great stuff in the book, and it's already 9:08. I could do this all night, but he's talking about grouping elements of a shot, which is such an incredibly important thing. So he's got his foreground grouped here. He's got his background grouped behind. The whole thing is really grouped into a nice composition. And because these guys are dark, they really pop backward from the stuff that's light in the foreground. And you can go, either light in the foreground, dark in the background, or vice versa. But either way, it's very, very much planned. And it really, really works here. It's such a great example of it. And that's something I try to use as much as I possibly can. And yeah, he's got so many great examples of using that kind of technique in his work. These characters here are all grouped in the background. And he's got some framing going on here. Anyway, Eric, I'm gonna stop here. I feel like I'm really doing this book a disservice by trying to paraphrase everything in here without really reading it. So I don't want to do that. And a lot of the stuff in here is actually really simply explained, but it can get a little complex for me to sit here and try and describe quickly while I'm looking at the book. But there you go. That is the book of the week. This is Comic Composition and Storytelling by Eduardo Rizzo. It is published by. I can't read that.
Yeah, I linked it in the chat. For folks who'd like to buy it, you can use your browser to translate the page. It's all in Spanish, but and it's listed in Argentinian dollars, so you'd have to convert that. But right. you can order it from there.
See if I can find maybe something in here. Every time they put their logo, that's unreadable to me. Dai Cizi?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
It is. Yeah, published in Brazil. Well, if you can, or in Argentina, if you can, maybe find a link or something. Anyway, it's a really great book, and I think I certainly didn't know about it for very recently, and hopefully more of us will find out about it. There you go.
Yeah.
Book of the week. All right.
Got a super chat from Mike Snitzer. Saying Daily Duo 1 release today. Dave, I'll have a Kelly Jones 3-pack for you at Rhode Island. And then for everyone here, they can get it 50% off for if they use code DFinchRocks.
I'm
going to share
dying
a page, but I don't have the link. I don't have the link.
I'm dying to see. He's got a cover by Kelly Jones, who is another one of my all-time favorites. Mike, and Mike is a very good friend of mine. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on again. And he's got an exclusive cover. I don't know how he managed to get a Kelly Jones one. That's not an easy thing to get, and hopefully we can find a way. We need to find a way to show you guys. I'm going to see Mike in Rhode Island this weekend. I'd like to actually talk to Mike about this next week and see if we can, showcase the cover a little bit and show you guys. I'm so excited about it because I'm a massive fan of Kelly Jones. So I really want to, promote it as much as I can, just to promote an artist that I think really, in my opinion, really deserves it just because he's great.
Yeah, Mike, if you can email me a link. It's basically my username at gmail.com. I think if you were to try post a link in here, I think YouTube removes it unless you're a mod.
Oh.
Paul Essenson, Australian dollars, $7.99. Hi guys, Dave, live stream aside, what's the smallest pen you use on pages? Cheers, looking great as always.
Sorry, what's the smallest what?
What's the smallest pen you use on pages, aside from what you're doing here?
Oh, I do everything the same. The tools that I use here are the tools that I use for everything. And the smallest that I use is just my 01. So it's an 01 here. You can see this is what the line really looks like. It doesn't have a wider or thinner line to it. So it's about how wide it gets. You can go much smaller than that. I find when I do start going smaller, things just get really, really finicky. And they often don't print as nicely as I would like. When things are reduced with a really, really fine line, it can start to look, for me, not as bold as I'd like it to. So it's a choice, but yeah, 01 is what I use. And thank you very much, Paul. This is where I say, I didn't know Paul was from Australia. What time is it in Australia?
I don't know. I don't know if they're ahead or behind.
So, I don't know. So I'm pretty sure Australia, it's not even on Earth, is it?
Yeah.
Mars or something. It's on a whole different
planet. It is 12:13 p.m.
Well, 12:13 p.m. 4 days from now.
It's in Canberra time. I don't know.
I was in, and I can't remember, unfortunately, but I was in Australia, not on the coast that the capital is on, Sydney, the other side. And apparently business people there wake up much, much earlier, like very, very early in the morning, because it lines up with the international business community. So they kind of have no choice.
So Paul says he's an immigrant there. He's USA born.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, if you're going to immigrate, they got some nice weather there. That's for sure. I was really thinking how much I would love to move to Tennessee this week.
Man, what a beautiful place.
It was. We were in Nashville, which really a very, very nice city. And the weather was great. And, coming from Canada, actually, we had some warm weather here today too. But yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, we drove into Memphis, which was also equally as nice. And that whole area where the con was at was really nice.
It was. So we went to a restaurant right in downtown Nashville, and they didn't serve pop. I know you guys call it soda, but whatever, it's pop. They don't serve it any kind. I couldn't believe it. I've never heard that before. It's a new one for me.
I'm still laughing at you, by the way.
Why's that?
When the waitress asked if she could get us anything. and then Dave said, yeah, can you get whatever? I can't remember. So she's like, well, I'm not really the waitress.
I wasn't rude. I said, well, you did ask. You know? Like, why ask me? I don't know. I wasn't rude. I don't think. I wasn't trying to be rude.
There was just some comedic timing in there. It's just really funny.
And she actually did get it. She said she was going over above. So,
well, Matt, was it Matt? Or I can't remember who said that maybe she was quoting a line from a movie. I don't know. I didn't get that, but I was just laughing. Adam Meyer for 5. Still would love to see you draw Skeletor. Dave painted Skeletor. It came out amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun to draw, though.
That would be great with inks.
I haven't done any of the He-Man stuff for Monday Night Draw. I have a few kind of lined up. Like, I know what I'm going to do, but beyond that, yeah, Skeletor would definitely be high on that list. Any character with a skull for a head. I mean, come on, you know.
Yeah. That means you need to draw a Scorpion.
Scorpion has a skull for a head?
Yeah, he can if he takes his mask off.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a skeleton.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know. So with my branch here, I'm just establishing kind of the big shapes, which I lightly established just with lines. And then I'll go in with the same way that I do the figure. I'll go in with smaller lines. I started to put in a little bit of hair on his arm, and I stopped because I just don't have the control with the brush. So I'll move on to, a tool that I have a little more control with and finish that. And what I will ultimately do with that hair too is there are places where it can be a little odd, like it starts conflicting with some of the detail underneath. And if it does, that's where I just bring it in the white out. And with pencil, I just erase. Eric's gone quiet and I hear typing.
No, I'm just Mike said he sent me the URL. I don't see it just yet, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. Let's see. Jim Klein for $20. It's great to finally be able to catch a stream live again. I've been working late recently. David, thanks for all the great content in recent months. Any tips for using heavy shadows to create ominous or spooky moods in comics? I think we're watching it.
Thank you very much, Jim. First of all, okay, so really the big tip for doing that, I just use my brush because what the heck. So I've got a figure. Hopefully, you guys, I'm running out of space here a little bit, and here he is. Here's an eye. It's not going to be a good figure. Ear. There's his neck. And you can see it's not exactly very ominous, but if I really want to make that, something that really works very, very effectively in movies, and I don't find it works for me, I've tried, is to just have light just cover basically the eyes. So you have just a little slash of light there and the rest of the face goes into darkness. Really, really works. I can't make that work in comics. I can actually put a cast shadow overhead and that'll work, but it gives me a different effect, like something's coming from above. So I'm just what I want to do is put a real side light on this. So I'm just going to go totally dark with the whole face. That's quite the pencil neck. So there you go. And you can see already it looks much, much more ominous, especially now I'm going to, put it like a doorway there and like a slash of light, behind them and really kind of frame them. And here's like a cast shadow. I don't know if that's really even accurate, but it doesn't matter so much and yeah, it's just, you want to, my lighting there is not great, to be honest. I could have done that better. This is what you get for trying to do this with a brush. But just really heavily shadowing out and not being afraid to just completely lose something in shadow really can work. And then, it's framing, which is something that doesn't even necessarily need to be ominous, but you've got your foreground and it's, here's a tree and another tree. You know what? I'll just show you. I did it here. I'm framing with shadow. So there you go. And then it's just using shadow really, like for these figures here, I could put a shadow down the wall behind this guy here. And then another shadow here, kind of framing them. And I'm kind of drawing your attention to the character. And I'll put a shadow on the wall behind from the character. And you can see it really pops it out. It gives it a little more drama. But for the most part, I would say drama in terms of characters, you have two options. You can really shadow out the face and make it really dark that way, or you can uplight a character. That's also gives somebody like a really surprised, like, ooh, shocked look. Something that's very, very classic. So that would be the other technique. The rest of it is, if you want to look at something other than comics for something that's really spooky, you really have to look at film noir. There are so many incredible framing techniques that they show over and over again in those things. And they really are the same few simple techniques that they just use really inventively everywhere. And
there's a good book, How to Draw Noir Comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's by Sean Martinborough. I think I have it here. Maybe I should show it one night.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's on Amazon.
The books that I don't know that exist.
The Art and Technique of Visual Storytelling. Of course, Eduardo Rizzo is also amazing at it.
Well, you can see a lot of that there. Now, I will say that book, his book that I was showing you guys, doesn't really cover that as much as I would have thought, because it's such a huge strength of his. I would have thought that he would really cover that, but not that much, actually. It talks about a lot of things that are less obvious and probably more valuable at the end, really. I was pretty amazed by that book. I learned things. I expected to learn things that I knew, but just learned them better. And I learned things that I was not aware of at all. So a big difference between this and if he was on rocks, which I draw all the time, is it's much more organic, soft shapes. So I'm still connecting and drawing interlocking shapes. I'm just keeping it much, much softer and more flowing in a direction rather than, at kind of right angles to each other, all the shapes. And there comes a time pretty quickly with this stuff where it's actually a mistake for me to keep working with a brush because my control just is not great, but let's see how far we can take it.
Let's see, Story by Osmosis. I guess it's Australia. Yeah, Australia. $10. Thanks for the stream, guys. I'm at the point I need to give myself more of a time limit on a page because it feels like a single issue will never get finished. Was this a period of time for you? Did you encounter the same?
Not before I started working professionally. And what I did was I spent the better part of a month on each page that I did. I don't know that actually helped the pages be any better, but that's what I did. And then when they asked how long it took, I said I did it in a day. I blatantly lied, which can be a mistake because it really can set you up for a really awkward situation when they expect you to do that kind of quality as fast as you claimed you could do it. Fortunately, I never got called out on it, and I got really eased into the business. It's the benefit of breaking in at a Marks of Vestry. But I didn't worry about being faster. I just worried about being as good as I could possibly be. But then there did come a time I was working on Cyberforce. I had just taken over the book. I was not ready, and the deadline hit. It came, and I had no choice. It's do the work, or they'll just have to replace you. And so I just started drawing fast. I did the best work that I possibly could within the time that I had, and it was what it was. And I found it was a real trial by fire, and I learned a lot really quickly, and it did make me better in a lot of ways. So I'm not sure how to answer that, because I do think that setting yourself a time limit can be good, but I'm really, in your case, I'm going to say it's good. Now, if you guys are not aware, Osmosis's art is incredibly detailed. It's very, very pretty stuff, and it looks like it takes absolutely forever. I do see people with samples that look like they're not taking the time they need to take. And so I'm hesitant to say, oh, just work quickly, because I think that's really, really bad advice. You really want to, put your best foot forward. So I don't want to say that, but yes, I think in your case, probably a deadline would not be a bad thing.
Let's see. Tegamo Model Works. Looking great. Love Werewolf by Night. Does he get a big full moon centered behind him?
Ooh. It could be about that big.
Yeah.
It's not big enough. I don't know if I have a plate. I don't have a plate. Dang it. Oh, he needs a moon.
Just freehand it.
I can't freehand it. I already got in trouble for freehanding a signal. I don't want to be in that boat again.
Gregor, stuck at work but popped in to say hi. Werewolf by Night.
Thank you, Greg. Great to see you here.
Yeah, and then the staple for the stream, SCS Powerlifting, $5. This piece needs Man Thing behind him. That would be great. I know you drew Man Thing as well. Yeah, recent. I keep saying recently as if it was lost on me how
time flies. It was actually relatively recent though. That was a Henry Jeremic request.
Yeah, he was fighting someone, right? Man,
yeah, I think he was fighting Swamp Thing. Wasn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You know what? We've done a lot of these by now. It gets hard to remember.
Jake S wants more chest hair.
Don't worry, you'll get some chest hair. I haven't gotten to the hair portion yet. All right, here we go. Next pen.
Yeah, where is Henry tonight? Russ asks. That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I didn't see him before we started. I didn't see him in the chat, so I thought, he's probably not going to be here tonight. So, Henry, if you watch this later, we miss you.
Yeah, Cloud's got a good point here. Dave, do you have any CDs or DVDs you can use for the moon? At arm's reach there. What about the infinity vase? I don't know if that has a round bottom.
Actually, the base for that is pretty small. Now I'm just looking around my office.
It's like a reverse tip of the iceberg.
I'll find something. Worst comes to worst, I'll run up and get a plate.
Tegamo Power works for $5. If Meredith wasn't so efficient, there would be several plates in there to choose from.
Meredith, I'm the one that cleans up. She just yells at me when I don't.
Everyone wants you to use the lampshade.
I've got 2 square lampshades. I'll find something. It might actually end up being a plate, so you might have to take over the stream while I run upstairs and grab one, because I don't see anything here that's like, it needs to be a good size, and I don't have anything down here like that. Show you how prepared for all this stuff I am. I used to, whenever I had to draw a circle, I would actually write on the page. I would just do like this crappy kind of fake out circle, and I would write like Danny, my inker, Danny Mickey, circle here. And I did some work for Andy Schmidt at Marvel, and I did that. And Andy demanded that I draw the proper. It was Captain America's shield, and it was just kind of sketched in. Yeah, I had to go back and fix it. Andy didn't take much crap.
Adam Meyer, $5 again. Dave, do you think there'll be a collected edition of your Walking Dead covers?
Not for me to say, so I don't want to say that there will be, but I do actually think that there will be. So you know what? You can't quote me on it. And by the way, good to see you here. Adam, glad you were able to make Tuesday. Yeah, we have talked about it, and I do think that there will be, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. So yeah, don't quote me. I hope so.
Damien, 20 euros. Hello, David and Eric. Thank you for all these lives. It helped me a lot, especially the live study. My question is, how do you draw a zombie torso? Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. Damien, how to draw a zombie torso is just not something that I can show you in a live stream, unfortunately. I'm trying to think of what I can say. Like I wish I knew a way to answer that question properly. It's just, you basically draw the same thing. Draw it thinner, and then you want the ribs to stick up more, and then just so you've got your body here. I'm going to draw like kind of a shape like this on here, and I know my ribs kind of go like this. And so I'm going to put some shadow under here. There's a kind of a rib there. I'm going to put some like goop between the ribs.
Sorry, I'm looking up your zombies video. I'm going to link it in the chat. Sorry about that.
So, there's like some rib detail there. I want to keep it pretty airy and bumpy. And there's a hole there. Here's my chest, and I'm going to be pretty striated with it because, I mean, there's not a lot of water in a zombie, Another cut out here for his stomach. I'm going to draw it in here, and I'm just, being much more lumpy and kind of, lumpy, I don't know if it's the right word, but maybe I'll draw some ribs kind of sticking out the side here. I really wish I could show you this properly, but it's just not. Like, the problem is that it becomes very detail oriented and playing with shapes oriented, and it's really, I just don't know how to show this effectively without taking the hour that it would take. I hope you understand. But what I'm doing, this I learned from Mark Silvestri, not so much directly, because I found it's actually a very, very difficult thing to teach. And he did teach it, but it's something you have to get a feel for. So I'm drawing, like, here's a circle and another circle and another one. And you can see that it looks completely like nothing. It looks very, very dead. They're all the same size. So you really want to, play with size and shape. So here's this kind of a shape here. Keep this one really small. Here's another shape, and they're all going to interlock into something that forms something larger, and hopefully will be, kind of hold together. But you really want to be as you want your sizing and your shapes to vary, but they still need to interlock together. So they're not just, you don't want to just have a mess. Or, like, I'm actually thinking in terms of the light shapes between these more than the actual shapes themselves. It takes a bit to really get the hang of that. That's really what I'm doing here. And I find, for me, that is much more effective and interesting looking than if I was to just spill guts out of it and like draw the guts. And you see art like that sometimes, to me, it looks incredibly tasteless. I don't like it. I like that kind of suggestion much more. I feel like it's more disturbing, actually.
So Thomas Spring, hey David, how do you draw feet so well? I think it's a reference of your own feet for this one, right, Dave?
Yes, I have very nice feet. You know what? And well, thank you very, very much. I actually get teased quite a bit for not drawing feet, and it's true. And look at this foot. So, I don't know if you're teasing me. I'm going to take you at face value. I am very influenced lately by Claire Wendling's feet. Claire Wendling is an incredible artist. She has a book of, I gave it to my niece, unfortunately. I don't have it. I need to buy it again. These girls, like ballerina girls, and the legs and feet are so incredibly well done, and it's stylized in a really interesting way. And I need to get that book again.
Well, Dave, I'll stick up for you here. Dave really does know how to draw feet exceptionally well. I know in the Noman instruction video, I mean, it's so very well done. Didn't you mention, was it Gil Kane?
Thank you. And I was kind of hesitating because I couldn't remember the name. And look, it's Gil Kane. So apologize to all you guys for forgetting that name.
His feet are amazing.
Yes. So Gil Kane, if you guys are not aware, and I know a lot of you are, he is a legendary classic artist, but he also is a very legendary artist for artists. Like, he's a real artist. He would do a lot of layouts for other artists, and they would do finishes. And his layouts are so incredibly instructive because his construction techniques are amazing, and they're really, really interesting. I really recommend looking at Gil Kane. You can see his foot construction. My foot construction comes from Gil Kane, the basic construction. And if you are teasing me about my feet,
no, he's not actually. He's actually.
It's fine, even if you were. My point is, even if you were, and I appreciate that you're not, but even if you were, Gil Kane is still great. So definitely look.
Yeah, he says, "No, man, I'm not teasing you. I would never." And then he laughs.
Okay. You know what? If you were, it's totally fine. I appreciate that you're not, but like, honestly, you don't have to worry about teasing me.
In my opinion, with feet, the hardest part, I think, I told you, the hardest part is when you just start seeing the underside of the foot, trying to keep that in perspective, and oh man.
Yeah, you were talking about that. So my next tutorial is going to be about clothing, and then I wanted to do something on mouse. I really, and I think I said this a bit ago too, is I thought I was running out of ideas for videos, and then you guys have had a lot of really great ideas. Eric just had a few really good ones. I've got video content for years, I'm telling you. Like, I thought this channel, it's going to die because, I mean, how many different tutorials can you do? But they're just, there are so many things. Eventually, I will hit a point where I just have nothing else to say. It's inevitable, but I do think it'll be a little
while. Mike Snitzer for $5. Just wanted to say thanks. I had no plans to hype Deadly Duo tonight. You guys chatting about it triggered me to clarify it. Released today. It's awesome.
Oh, it's today, so it's new today. All right. Well, you know what, Mike? Hopefully, we can have Mike on and talk about it a little next week if he's willing. So we'll talk about it, Mike, because I really want to support it as much as I possibly can.
And then Captain Super Cat, I read it as Captain Super Chat at first. $5. Great stream, guys. Hey, Dave, do you have any tips on drawing a wizard's hood when it's pulled back or down?
So from behind, here's my shoulders. I'm going to draw my standard shape, and that's going to be, I'm going to come up like this. Because this is closer than, so this fold is closer than this, that's going to come over. And there we go. So I'm going to draw that. This is so standard. I draw this everywhere. And so there you go. And now I'm going to draw some interlocking folds down here. And this would be exactly what you would get just with any kind of drapery. I mean, you can find examples of this all over the place. If you have like a pillowcase and you grab two corners and you kind of bring them together and up, you'll end up with that kind of drapery behind. And so there you go. There's my wizard. He's got a cone head. And now from the front, it would essentially look like a cape. So I'm not going to draw it from the front because of that, for that reason, but that's really all there is to it. It's just, you're drawing a cape, except that instead of drawing it, downward and having, the rest of that cape, I'm just drawing kind of the center part of it. That's really it. Pretty simple thing. And thank you.
Still here.
Okay. Well, you're not Meredith, so I don't have to look over and see if you're sleeping. What kills me, she gets so upset when I do that. But she has totally fallen asleep on the stream a few times. It's not like it hasn't happened.
Greg L, $10. Have trouble with a spring forward pose. That is Spider-Man, a jump, crouch, arms up and up or back, especially with the connection between the shoulders, lats, and sides. Hope this doesn't sound like too much, but any tips?
Okay, well, there are two things to think about. I've totally run out of space here. Okay, this is my page that I was using for my how to draw heads with the Loomis thing. So the number one thing to think about is here's my chest. And I'm not going to have somebody springing forward for this. You know what? I should actually, because that's what you're asking. So, okay, so here's my chest. Here, my head's going to be here like this. The first thing that my arm, if it was to the side, they would be sitting like this, but I really want them to kind of come up. So I'm going to lift my clavicles. Is that right? Collarbones? I'm going to lift my collarbones up like this because my whole arm is going to, and you can see with my arm, you can see that, right? This doesn't stay stationary. You can see how it's lifting my hand. So this whole thing, and see, we need Eric Gist here for this one. That bone you have on your back, we were just talking about this too. I don't know names of muscles, and Eric is classically trained. So you know. Thank you. Yeah, other Eric, co-host Eric also knows. I should really know this. I'm the tutorial channel, you know? It's terrible. Anyway, your whole scapula has so much movement. Your arm. Anyway, point being, you want your arm here to not just be drawn, you know, flat like this. And so I'm going to draw, first of all, a tube just like this. And my tube is going to get larger as it comes toward me because it's foreshortened and it gets larger as it comes closer. And so here's my forearm. Obviously, it's smaller because of the wrist. My hand. So there you go. Make a few adjustments. And so, yeah. So that's, and by the way, I really recommend for these kinds of figures, my opinion, Walt Simonson is unparalleled. And I would really look at some of his work for these kinds of figures and this kind of construction. And he's very, very influential. A lot of the image artists like Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri is a big influence on, Eric Larson in that kind of construction. So the first thing I need to do is establish my deltoid. Here's my clavicle, my bicep, my elbow is going to be here, my tricep. So it gives me basically this kind of a shape here. My deltoid attaches into my chest, which is really narrowed out. And here's my lower arm. And there's a little muscle here. It's called the little muscle. That's its technical term. And then your, let me clean this up a little bit. So you've got your rib cage here. And you've got your lat here that actually connects up underneath the arm. And the other side of your deltoid connects behind it like this. So there you go. I got some really great reference on this whole, and I kind of lost my perspective on there just a little bit. So apologies for that. It's difficult sometimes to, you know, try and explain this stuff and not have things get a little bit skewy. But I got some really great reference from professional wrestlers from Ed McGuinness. We talked about this. This is quite a while ago now, and he sent me some. So I would, you know, look at that. Look up some professional wrestling. You see them lift their arm, and you can really see all that muscular construction under there. That can really help. So, you know, it's the muscles, but then it's also the pose itself, and I really do recommend.
Another super chat from Greg, $2. Also cool to have Eric live. Hey, Eric. Hey, Greg. Good to have you here as always.
Yeah, thank you again. Yeah, it really is. It's been a little while. We haven't had Eric on here for a bit because we've been back to Monday Night Draw. We're gonna have a few things coming up. I think I just promised tonight that we would do portfolio reviews within the next month. I apologize. I lied, and well, not intentionally, but I've got 3 conventions in really quick succession coming up over the next month. So I'm just not going to be able to do it that quickly, but as quickly as I possibly can.
Jim Klein, $20. Dave, I'm still catching up on streams from recent months. Any news on season 2 book Kickstarter? I really enjoyed season 1 book. I was lucky enough to get the tier where you drew in the cover. There's a Batman in mine. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and thank you. No news yet. We're going to do it, but we don't have it planned yet.
Speaking of Monday Night Draw, Last Havoc earlier mentioned, just got the Monday Night Draw book and it's incredible. Any chance for an Uncle Creepy Monday Night Draw? That would be awesome next Halloween.
Eric, do you know what Uncle Creepy is? Is it the like the creepy, eerie kind of like drawn by Bernie Wrightson a bunch?
I can Google it, but I'm a bit scared to Google it. I can Google it. Uncle Creepy. I'm sure we're going to get educated here in a few seconds.
I know.
Let's see. Um, 1970s. Dennis Kelly says 1970s bodybuilders are a perfect reference for muscles. They sure are.
Yeah, see, there you go. And that's another, yeah.
What's the best way to get your hands on the last sketchbook? I missed the release. Essential Sequential. I don't know if they still have. Let me have a look real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll get a link. Press is going to beat me on this one.
You are definitely much more willing to do research than my other co-host. My other co-host would not be doing this.
Bernie Wrightson's character.
See, I was right.
Uncle Creepy is from the Warren magazine.
That would be a lot of fun to do. That is a really great choice.
Yeah. Would you try it? Yeah. Imagine trying to draw that in his style, man.
Yeah. By the way, when Meredith comes back next week, nobody tell her that I was downing her behind her back. She seems nice. She's not nice, Eric.
So Frazetta also, yeah. I've been seeing that recently in my Instagram feed, and I did see a Frank Frazetta piece by that. What were you saying, Dave?
I said she would kick my butt. Yeah, I actually have seen Frazetta. I think he did a portrait.
Yeah. So Henry's here.
Hey, look at that.
Fashionably late. He said he was checking something on his computer, and then he was glad he did because he saw the stream.
Oh, well, good. It's good to have Henry here. I thought we were going to lose him because it's Tuesday. Do we have Lance here?
I haven't seen Lance. If you're here, Lance, say hi. I think Henry's made it for every single live stream since the start. So that would have been sad if you missed this one. It's kind of like, did you ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
Where Dwight almost missed the day off work because Jim tricked him. Dwight made every single day. Somebody for $4.99 has a super chat. Hey Dave, what kind of paper do you use, and would you say it's Bristol or textured? Where do you get it?
It is somebody. Somebody. Thank you, somebody. This is Strathmore. You can see it just says Strathmore in the corner. This is 200 series Bristol Smooth, and it comes in a pad of 20 sheets. You just kind of tear off the top of, hopefully without tearing the page. I actually did that with a page this week. And there is Strathmore 300, Strathmore 400. Like there's some different thicknesses, and you would think like intuitively that the higher the number, the better the quality, right? Wrong. I don't know why, but this is the best stuff, I'm telling you. And it's cheaper than some of the thicker stuff.
Yeah, you can get it off Amazon or Dick Blick or Jerry's.
Yeah.
It really is good stuff. Something that I remember advice you gave me, Dave, when you were helping me out, is the paper that I was drawing on really was working to my detriment.
Yeah. Oh, it really can.
And
It can make it so unpleasant. And especially, the last thing you want, I think I'm going to have to go in there with a little bit of whiteout. I'm losing a lot on that side and I don't want to. What you don't want is to watch me do this here and watch me use certain techniques like this pen, and you just cannot get it. And you think that it's you, and it's not you, it's your paper. And I mean, it can be you. And I mean, like, obviously there's a learning curve behind this, but you don't want to be in a position where your tools are betraying you and you don't know if it's your inability or it's just the paper. And, actually I was talking about this. Actually, I think it was with Dan.
Yeah, he just said he's sending you some image paper.
Oh, have I told you guys about image paper? I think I have, but it's been a while. So image paper is legendary in the business because there's never been paper like before image. There was never paper that good. Since there has never been paper like it, and it hasn't been available for more than 20 years. I mean, yeah, it is the absolute best. And there are a few people that have a few sheets. Dan apparently has some, which I can't believe.
Lance, isn't he?
I found it. He is here?
Yeah, he said he's been chatting all night. Sorry, Lance.
See, there you go.
I found it. So what makes it? Is it just the? I mean, I guess the answer is probably obvious, but just the feel is just so much better.
No, it actually makes your art better. I think.
I need that then.
I don't want to say magical, but it's magical.
It's magical, yeah. Well, I mean, that advice you gave me. Once I started drawing on this paper, it just it really does improve your pencils. Yeah, just like you were saying. A lot of people say it's not the tool, it's the artist. That's not always true.
Oh, well, it is. Because a great artist, I don't care what you give him, is still going to do something great. He'll just fight with it more.
Sure,
or she,
sure.
But the tools, they do make a big difference.
Yeah.
And image paper, you could, and I've done this, so I can confirm, you can get one of those really high power electric erasers, and you can erase spaghetti that you sprayed all across the whole page. You can just erase it right off of there. I'm telling you, the stuff is magic. Like, and those erasers are, I mean, you give it a second, it'll go right through paper. Not this stuff. Yeah, we always used, like, the tools that we used at the time were traditional. So it was a crow quill, especially. That was the most popular tool. Crow quill is much, much less popular, partly because of tools like this, but also because the paper just doesn't withstand crow quill as well as it used to. So if you were a quill reliant inker, all that needs to happen is somebody comes along and they're using Blue Line Pro, and forget it, you're screwed. I mean, it's practically uninkable. So this paper here holds up pretty well to a quill. But what happens is the actual surface of the paper picks up in the quill in like a little ball, and then you can't get any detail, and you have to pick that up. Oh, memories of that. Anyway, yeah, best paper.
Barbarian's asking if you're still going to be in Paris. Yes, he will be. Okay, yeah, Barbarian's from there, so pretty sure he's going to.
Yes, I will see you there. And by the way, when I say it's magical, I'm not entirely kidding, Eric, because I'm very superstitious about some things like that. And
I would be scared to try it because I'd probably like it, and then knowing it's like, it's like unicorn paper.
You know what's even worse though?
Uh-huh.
If you tried it and it didn't work out, and then you can never use it again.
No, if I tried it and it's like you can.
No, I mean,
draw like
when a picture doesn't work out, and I've never used a paper before, I'll never use that paper again because it clearly was a paper's fault. Wasn't me. It's a paper. I want to say on his arm, I want the hair to kind of twist around his arm in a bit of a diagonal way. I don't know if I really pulled it off the way that I want to do that. It's fine. I think I have it a little bit better here, but so it's going to curve this way and then come up this way. So it's going to make like a rounded curve like that. It is so hard for me to do that mentally. Like I'm not good at that. It's a real 70s kind of 60s, 50s sort of thing that fell out of fashion with more of the rigid kind of rendering that you got in the 90s and more now. But I love it, especially for things like hair on arms. And Frazetta would do this a lot in his black and white stuff. Yeah, I can never pull it off like Frazetta, but that's what I'm trying for.
Yeah, just some more comments on that paper. I guess I should clarify what I was saying. I mean, I'm not saying everyone should get Strathmore 200 to practice on. Whatever you have will work. It's just for me, it really helped.
Yeah, well, if you're using, if you're doing gesture drawing, I don't care what kind of paper you're using.
Right.
If you're doing finished pencils, you will find it's easier with better paper. Which, look, not all of us have, endless money to be buying paper. So, that's not ideal, but look, the fact is it does make a difference. It really does.
Dan Genovese. I bought a lot of expensive art supplies and I'm still terrible. Well, I'm sure you're not, but there are some things you need. For example, I don't know, we were talking, with Dan about watercolor, and the watercolor he's using. Also with watercolor, if you use good paper, that it really helps so much. So there's some things you kind of have to shell out for, but other things not.
Well, and another thing I think too, a lot of artists don't like to reveal their tools,
Yeah.
Which I understand, but I would hope that you develop yourself as an artist to a point where it's more than the tools. And if somebody has the same tools, they don't just become you, so I'm more than happy to tell you guys everything that I'm using. Because it's not a zero-sum game,
Well, I mean, you can tell people, but it's like with painting. You can tell someone how to paint, but unless they hold the brush.
Yes, but my point for me is I want you guys to learn how to do it well and to get great at it. And so yeah, I'm not thinking, oh no, somebody's going to come compete with me, and it crosses my mind every once in a while. But
I mean, it just takes work.
Yeah, I think that you'll all develop your own style eventually, and hopefully, if I can make that a little easier in some ways, then I'm glad. Okay, what time is it? 9. Oh no, Eric, it's 9:58.
That's all right.
Yeah, the problem is, totally honest with you, I'm enjoying myself. I could do this for like hours. I'm not going to do that to you guys. Don't worry. But it's going to be another 15 minutes because I do want to finish something. Actually, you know what? I want to finish this.
I'm pretty sure if we did a poll. Oh, maybe I should do a poll.
Well, don't do a poll. I'm going to finish it. If you guys, you guys are done, thank you for watching this much. You don't leave yet. I still have 2 minutes before it's 10. But yeah, I'm going to stay and finish the tree. I really want to.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart to leave a picture unfinished. I can't.
Taking an unofficial count here. It looks like everyone wants you to keep going. So.
Okay, good. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, I hate leaving it. I'm just going to block that.
Kevin says, "How dare you hold us visually hostage?" Henry's asking if you would consider doing a full moon. He is, Henry. He's just looking for a round object somewhere.
What's going to happen, Henry, is I'm going to run upstairs. Once I finish this part, I'm going to run upstairs. I'm going to grab a dish a plate, because that'd be about the right size.
You're gonna drop it and accidentally wake Meredith.
Yeah, really. Maybe she's sick. She's not waking up for much.
Yeah. Hopefully she gets to feeling better soon. Hannah felt so bad because she was. I guess it's the pollen in Nashville. There was a thick layer of pollen all over the car, but she was sick basically the whole visit.
Yeah, she seemed fine. She's pretty stoic. Hannah is Erick's wife, everybody.
Yeah, she was putting on a brave face.
Yeah, I would not have known she was sick.
Yeah, she's still kind of struggling.
It's too bad.
Adam Mayer, another 5. Mom's gone. We get to stay up late.
See, look at that. He's with us to the
everyone. It's just pouring in, Dave. Everyone wants you to keep doing.
Really, thank you guys, because I'm having a blast.
Charles Petrie says this month's 300,000. Yeah, if not this month, definitely December. I'm pretty sure Dave is going to hit 300,000, which is absolutely incredible and well deserved.
Well, thank you. I you never want to jinx it. You never know, but it's looking like it should be this month, unless like barring who knows. I think it'll be this month. We'll see. I should keep my mouth shut, because that's saying stuff like that. It's like, hubris never ends well. But I do think, it should be. We'll see. I still don't have my 100,000 plaque. I think
you know what I'm thinking, Dave?
What?
I think it's at your old residence.
Do they just automatically send it? I don't know. Somebody told me that you have to actually ask for it. I don't know. And I never have. Maybe you know what? I don't know. I say that I'll ask. I'll try. I wouldn't even know who to email. I don't know.
CEO of Google. I don't know. The Angel Arrow. Hello, big fan. Your tutorials are really in-depth and easy to follow. Thanks for sharing lessons for free.
Well, my pleasure. And thank you very much. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about. I mean, I wasn't being really deriding about someone, learning a brush, but I'm pretty sure your tutorials have been a huge benefit on many people, probably even people that don't necessarily comment in this chat. It would be odd to me if there aren't a lot of people, absolutely incredible amount, not benefiting. So, everything that you have on YouTube, there's a lot on your channel, and I think if people were to put that into practice, their art's going to improve substantially. I guess my point was, you just got to put that work in.
I tell you what, I'm so glad there's so much on there, because it's been a couple of years, and you just do one video at a time, and there's a lot. I've got a lot of stuff out there, which is nice, and I've got a lot more to go. I've got a lot of ideas, and you know what? I think not every idea is going to be useful for everyone, but
I mean, as a sum whole, I would say that if someone were to put them all into practice, their art's gonna, improve drastically, and
hopefully. And another factor too is that all my videos are based on my idea of how things should be done, and it's art, it's not science. So I'm not necessarily right.
So there's some comments coming in. So Chris Burks, absolutely love for those tutorials. They really are amazing.
Thank you, Chris.
Mike, Linux or Linux? Man, I'm really going to get hauled over the coals for that one. Your perspective videos really helped me being a programmer. I think it's Linux. So he says your perspective videos really helped me. Dave, your channel is
programmer. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's a Linux programmer, because Linux. Come on.
Yeah, I guess so.
Programming kind of, it's not programming. It's a.
Yeah, but I should know that one. Oh, it's an operating system.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Yeah. Henny says, I use your technique for drawing fingers daily. Super helpful. So Batman Crash, not only have I benefited from your drawing tutorials, but you have helped me with my self-esteem with art and not giving up before I've started. So thank you. Seriously. Wow. Great. You see, it's great stuff.
Is so great to hear. And you know what? Giving up is the number one. it is certainly the number one demise of aspiring artists is quitting. You know, it happens so often. It's such a shame.
Miguel Amaro Santiago, my artwork has improved so much from watching your videos and focusing on my art skills. He says, thanks. Art of Wade King, hello. I've learned a great deal from the videos and live streams. Sheldon.
Hey, it's Wade King.
Yeah.
You know what? Look.
So, I mean, I'm not going to go and read, but the point is everyone...
for this, everybody, but I can't tell you how happy that makes me. And really, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't care that I wasn't fishing for it. I'm still taking it. It's great to hear. You know what kills me sometimes, Eric? I go to conventions and somebody will say, oh, I really like what you did, you know, with whatever book or whatever, you know, and then they say, you probably hear that all the time. Oh man, you know, you guys know we're artists. We are very insecure people. It means something to me every single time. I can't tell you when somebody gets something out of something that I've done. I always very, very much appreciate it.
Kevin says, shower Dave with compliments. He hates it.
For a second there, I thought you were telling me he was telling me to go take a shower. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not even here. You can't smell me. So this pen for me is really working out right now. I don't know if you guys remember. Now, this wasn't last week. It was a week before. But sometimes these just come out really, really strangely. Like I can't get a thin point out of them. And so I use my Micron PN, which I talked about before. I'm not going to be using that tonight because I don't need to. So it just depends. And I don't know.
Bought 4 more of those today.
Yeah, they're so good. And I like these better because I have more range with them. But it happens all the time. And I don't know if it's like not air pressure, but humidity or what. But yeah, they're just not. Sometimes they don't work as well. And so I've got that as a great backup option.
So Richard Friend is here. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
Talking about inking and drawing. Amazing artist in his own right.
Yes, absolutely. You guys all know Richard Friend. By the way, he has a great YouTube channel. Just look up Richard Friend on in Google and you'll find his channel come up right away. And he's got a lot of really great content from a lot of really good information on inking to a lot really. Now I do my book of the week, Eric.
Yeah.
But Richard does a real deep dive into the work of some different artists, and it's very, very insightful. I always learn a lot, and it's very much thought out. It's not like you guys saw me trying to review that Eduardo Rizzo book. It could not be more clear that I'm totally pulling it out of my butt the whole time. Like I'm just winging it. Yeah, I really recommend Richard's channel for really interesting perspective on some great artists and some great work.
Yes, and he's sharing some great art of his own too on Instagram. It's really, really great to see.
So what I want to do now is I'm going to round this up. So I'm using kind of rendering to do that. So it's going to be more rendering toward the bottom, and then the top I'm just going to leave fairly open. So it'd be like rendering a pipe or rendering an arm where it's, lines here and then open at the top. But because I've got a lot more kind of topography, I'm using that. Where I have a really sharp turn of form, I have really small render lines like that. Where I want the turn to go longer and softer, I go much longer with my lines.
Adam Meyer for 5. Dave, this picture looks amazing. Eric, great job co-hosting tonight. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great that you're able to do this. I figured you'd be good for it, because you're
always.
you're always in there with Russ moderating, so I know you're here. So yeah, it's great because I can't do this myself. I have done it. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky creating and trying to keep up with the chat. It's
yeah,
can be a challenge.
Oh, I feel so burnt out afterwards, and the picture isn't as good. I think the stream's a lot more boring. There's a lot more dead air.
Eric just says looking great.
Thank you, Eric. Wonder if Eric's working right now. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. He's been posting a painting basically every day.
I know.
On his Instagram. It's awesome.
I really do have a painting from Eric that I want very badly. He said he'd be willing to make a trade. So we're,
I believe Eric kept it kind of away. Well, not away from prying eyes, but I think it's been reserved. It looked like it was. So.
Well, I want to get it. Even if we can't make a trade, I'll just find a way to hide the money from Meredith. It's not easy, Eric, because she does all the banking. As a matter of fact, so I bought a picture, and I wanted to show you guys the picture that I bought at the convention. I bought a painting from Eric, and it's upstairs. So I'm going to show you guys next week. But anyway, I paid cash for it. And I always figure, hey, I get away with that. Well, Meredith gets a full rundown of every penny that I make at shows. So yeah, guess what the first thing she said to me was? So what happened?
Oh no, am I in trouble?
No, you're not in trouble.
Okay.
And she actually surprisingly left me alone. She was all right with it. I thought, oh no, this could be bad, but yeah. I don't normally try to hide money, and now I know that that's probably been a good instinct.
Eric said he is holding that painting for you.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
It's such a great picture.
It is.
And crazily, it's a picture that he's actually had for a little while. I think just in terms of characters, it's not. This is the thing about original art. It's about the quality of the picture. It's also about the character. And for my part, I don't care about the character. I care.
Yeah, it's about the appreciation of the piece.
Yes.
I mean, the cycle was the character too. Don't get me wrong, but the cycle was just ridiculously cool.
I can't wait to show you guys once that works out. Because one way or another, we gotta yeah. I'm very excited about that. I kind of, dang it. Okay, so I'm gonna do like a mossy kind of a thing over here, but it's gonna take a little bit. Like it's not super fast to do. And I thought, I could skip it, but you know what? It'll look better. And I want it. And Meredith's not here. We can get away with it.
Adam's shouting out Russ as well. Yes, thanks, Russ.
Yes, absolutely. I saw Russ had a shout out earlier on for Comics on Coffee, our sponsor, with really incredible coffee. I still have a bag because they gave me a few of these. And I'm going to have to run down and grab this one soon because I am almost out. But this is my Dark Knight roast. So if you guys have not seen this, that's actual Jim Lee Batman artwork on the coffee. And it is really good. I mean,
I need to order some soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great coffee. And they're very, very good people. They're really nice. They're going to be in Orlando, the MegaCon next year. So I'm going to get a chance to. I've talked to them in email and talk to them a bit, but it'd be nice to actually meet them and thank them. They've been really very good to me. So yeah, and it even has a page from Detective Comics 27, May 1939. Very, very cool. So there you go. Comics on Coffee.
So JDSCT's reminding me to take on Meredith's duty and remind everyone in the chat to hit the like button. Yes, for sure.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Get the likes up. Since I'm looking at StreamYard, I haven't looked at the actual. I try not to have both StreamYard and YouTube open at the same time.
Well, don't tell me the numbers because if nobody's watching, I don't want to know.
Well, we're done. Sheldon Martin, $4.99. This is awesome. Thanks for letting Dave draw late, Eric. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheldon. Yeah, and really thank you, Eric, for sticking with me. I couldn't do this otherwise. I think
absolutely.
I'd wrap it up and finish on my own, which, not the end of the world, but I much prefer. I have a really hard time letting go and walking away from a picture.
I'm just going to mute you for 1 second, Dave. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to mute myself, rather.
Right. Okay. Get some of these leaves in here. So this is my attempt at doing like Frazetta, and especially Frazetta is the artist that I really think of for this. I think maybe I should say Hal Foster. He did this beautifully. These kinds of, there's not really a panel border. It just kind of fades out into something like this, like you get some interesting kind of ground. Well, you can tell that I don't do this much because mine is not fading out very gracefully. But that was what I was trying for anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this part here, and then I'll do some moss over there. Then I'll run upstairs and get my moon, and a little detail on the moon, and we'll be done. Everybody can go to bed.
Greg, for $1.99, mind if I ask for a breakdown of this pose? Did you do a thumbnail for this one, Dave?
I did. It's my thumbnail is, let me just turn this over. My thumbnail is not really useful. It's pretty loose. So I've got my chest here. My head hole, my neck hole is here. Got one arm here. This is really a Loomis method, so I'm kind of cutting in with my arms because then I can draw like a ball for my shoulders. My head I want fairly low, so it's going to be like this. My trunk, just like this. And then I've got my pelvis. I had one leg up like this. Now I'm not looking at the pose, so this is going to end up being just a little bit different, I'm sure. And my other leg I want it down, so I think it's kind of like this. And then this part of the arm is back. The upper arm is tilted away from us on both sides. And then the lower arm is coming out a little bit more toward us. So that's basically, in a nutshell, that's kind of the pose. So there you go. Yeah, it looks a little weird, but that's what I was going for. And thank you, Greg.
Bruce Nunn for $1.99. This is an amazing piece, Dave. Love it.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I really appreciate it. Thank you. This has been so much fun, and it's so stress-free. I'm so used to. It's one thing I don't enjoy about Monday Night Draw. My biggest stress is just being able to finish before I get shut down. So it is kind of nice just to be able to keep drawing until I'm done. So Eric, did you watch the Anderson Silva fight?
How much time we got? No, I didn't watch it, and I never will watch those.
No, neither will I. I mean, look, you gotta.
I think it's a joke, and I think if it was real, he.
So you're saying you think it's staged?
It's orchestrated. It may not be staged, but it's orchestrated. Anderson Silva is 47 years old. It's at the tail end of his career, and he's only allowed to use half of his weapons.
And he's smaller.
And if it was a real fight, no offense to those who think boxing is real fighting, it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of fights that I love to watch. I love a lot of the boxers, but let's be honest. If Anderson was in the octagon, it would have been over in 30 seconds. So,
yes. I agree. At the same time, I never would have expected Jake Paul to beat a UFC champion, even older, even smaller, even just with hands. So you know what?
Yeah, I mean,
it's impressive, but yeah, it's very disappointing.
I will give him his due when he steps in the octagon.
Well, I kind of have to give it to him somewhat now. I really do. I do want to see him get knocked out.
I would say he's good at picking his opponents.
He's good at picking his opponents. He's good at making people love him or hate him.
I mean, he picked Ben Askren. Come on.
Yep.
I think we might have a chance against Ben Askren.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there, but
I'm being facetious, but it's like he really does pick certain opponents, and it's just kind of annoying.
Yeah,
so I'm not saying he's not talented. He doesn't have a punching power, but it's just frustrating. Anderson Silva is a legend.
Yes,
and having him now, in a way, I wouldn't say he's being denigrated, but you know what I mean. It's like,
you know what? When somebody accomplishes something, you can never take away from that. He'll always have that. But yes, it's not the best look in the whole world.
Yeah,
it's not ideal. But Anderson Silva is a classy guy, and
he made a lot of money from that.
He made a lot of money, and you know what?
It does make you wonder a little.
What's your price tag for getting punched out? What would you say?
My price tag?
Yep.
I'd have to see what the medical bills might be.
Oh yeah, you're in the States.
Yeah. I mean, easily $1 million. I mean, easy.
$1 million? Come on, you'd make somebody paying $1 million to knock you out.
Yeah. You're not going to remember it, So, well, it depends who's punching you. If it's like Ngannou or something, that's going to go up to like 10 more at least. Because you're going to be out of commission for a long time.
Well, with $10 million, you could afford to be out of commission for a long time.
Yeah.
My price is a lot lower than that. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently I'm cheap. All right. So I switched over to my PN here because it's more of a struggle. This has a little less flexibility, so I'm not fighting with. I want this to be more of a deadline. I just didn't want it to be as thin as my thinner pen. By the way, I forgot he's got a little hair here. And I'm almost done here. I'm going to keep this just about like this. I don't want to go too carried away, especially considering I'm kind of coming away. And so, yeah, I need to do the moon. And there's only one way I can do that, and that is to run up and get a plate. So, Eric, it's all you. I'll be back I'll run.
Sure. I'll hold out on the super chats until you get back.
Okay.
Anthony G, if I'm just taking a dive, 50K. Knocked out for real, 500K. Yeah? But again, it's who's punching you. That's the thing. Art Jacobs, hey David, do you have any tips for placing the head and neck together? Just draw through, or draw through the head and draw the neck. Drawing through really helps a lot. It helps with all kinds of placement. What about a punch from Tyson? Man, even now at his age, I think he'd definitely put me in hospital, if not kill me with that punch. You have to be conditioned to take those.
All right. I brought one of our plastic plates. These are outside plates. So
Nice.
if I get ink on it or something, I'll get in less trouble.
All right, let's see. There's also some super chats. Adam Meyer 5. This reminds me of when the stream was on Sundays. Awesome. Let's see. Greg L. Ironically, this pose is what I meant earlier. I have trouble connecting the arm, shoulder, chest, and lats in a pose like this.
Oh.
It is a bit tricky, but if you take the pec, and the pec inserts under the deltoid, so that always helps. Jim Klein for 5. Any tips on getting more comfortable using heavy shadows in figures? I've always been a bit timid with it. Any artist to study? I did some courses at Comics Experience when oh no, I just forgot his name. Robert Atkins, when he was teaching, and one thing he suggested, I think it was him. It might have been Joe Kubert. I can't remember. In one of Joe Kubert's videos, I think it may have been, is you can put tracing paper over a figure, and you can practice your inking without ruining your line drawing, and you can just keep practicing over and over, placing heavy shadows on tracing paper.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah, and I think
that was Robert Atkins' advice.
I think he had something similar like that. I can't really recall. It's probably just a digital equivalent of doing that. But I think it was Joe Kubert in one of his instructional videos that mentioned that.
I have never heard of that. But that is such great advice.
Yeah, because I mean, you're using actual ink. You're going through the motions. If you don't like it, you just put another piece of tracing paper down. I'm learning to draw. Yeah, it was Joe Kubert. Okay, good. So I'm not making that up. Great. And any artists to study, Dave, with heavy shadows?
Mike Mignola.
He said, obviously, I guess he's saying other than Mignola.
Oh, Kelly Jones.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why I'll tell you right now. That's why the Kelly Jones book I am so very, very excited about, for the Kelly Jones retail exclusive cover, because he doesn't really do a lot of stuff like that, and he's such a huge legend for me. So, means a lot to me to be able to hopefully, make more people aware of it. All right, that's basically it. I'm going to sign.
One last super chat. Otaku Samurai for $1.99. Thank you for answering my questions. You're the best.
You're welcome. He's back. Otaku Samurai said he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight, so he'd have to watch tomorrow. But he made it tonight for the end, so thank you. I mean, it's good to see you here, Otaku. Atomic Guard is here. Tom Teacher is here. Dan Genovesky is, and I knew that. See, this is a problem. I'm looking down the whole time. I don't see some of you guys that are here. Well, thank you, really, all of you, for being here. This was, our Halloween special a day late, and Monday Night Draw also a day late. So there you go.
I must apologize. Tomic had a super chat earlier. There wasn't a message, but I saw you had a super chat earlier. So thanks, Tomic.
Yes, thank you very much, Tomic. Really appreciate it. All right.
It looks like Ryan Benjamin.
Hey, Ryan Benjamin's here. Ryan and we have some plans, which I'm very, very excited about. And so, yeah, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming by. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. That's it. I'm going to go to bed. I probably really should. I was up too late last night. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for coming and spending a Tuesday night with us this week. I will see you next Monday with Meredith, and Eric will be here too, moderating along with Russ. And hopefully everyone has a great week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.